This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and The Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, welcome. This is going to be a treat. Last weekend, we had the awesome, amazing, off-the-wall, sometimes eccentric, John Kramer with us, who was with us all during this hour. And we talked about some of the things that were really hot and not so hot for marketing your books today. And we knew we had to do a radio show on it. In fact, we not only do a radio show, leading to the podcast, but also do a full-blown webinar on one of the key things that you all should be doing. If you are not, this is going to be morphing you a little bit. And I know all of this is overwhelmed, and that both John and I do get it, but what it's really about is Pinterest. And John has really become quite an authority and an expert. Besides being the ultimate book marketing expert, he really has become quite an expert in the whole theme of how do you market your books and make a presence on Pinterest. And so we're going to be deep diving into that. And then we want to make sure that you put March 13th on your calendar, because we are going to be doing a live program at 5 Mountain Time. And to be able to learn more about that, if we don't have your emailing address, it'd be a good idea if you connect with me. So if you just email me at judith@briles, briles.com, we'll make sure you get an invite and on the list with that. And then I'm just going to transition in and welcome the, as I said, ultimate book marketing expert and author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, John Kramer. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Judith, I'm great.
Good. We
at least I try to be.
and for those of you, what I was referring to on Saturday, we did the Taste of the Extravaganza and Peak, and we actually, for people who signed up, and that window is now closed, but people who came forward, or roughly 30 of them said, hey, I am in and I want it. We gave away a boatload of gifts to these people, who was fabulous. So thanks for participating, John.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And we got crazy for a while.
I know. As soon as one of our participants left, John and I decided we were going to give away more of his stuff, and he didn't know it. Yeah, we did. We had fun, and I think that you have to have fun. This was a 4-hour event. It was an online summit, a Taste of the Extravaganza, and in fact, y'all can watch it if you just go to the Author YOU, authoruextravaganza.org. You can get the replay and just watch it. And even though you don't get all the goodies, that there are a boatload of goodies, and we're in our early bird sign-up period. So I would encourage you, authoruextravaganza.org, and just at the very top on the far left, you can watch the replay, because it's 4 hours. You can pause it, and we've got 7 awesome publishing pros giving you tips and ideas of how to really excel for your bookmarking at whatever stage. I don't care if you're a greenie or you're an old timer and feel like you're long in the tooth. We gave you strategies on what to do. So,
or you can fast forward about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and you can get me.
Yes, exactly. You can get John.
So, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, we're going to jump into Pinterest and on what's hot. Let's just start off with our theme again. You know, what's hot and what's not. And so, what has changed for people who are just trying to figure out what Pinterest is? Why don't we start there, John, and then why don't we move ahead and just go
Well,
into strategies?
sure. Pinterest is, one of the top social media sites out there, and it's all graphical. The whole thing is that it's all designed to be, sharing images. But the neat thing about Pinterest, because you could say Instagram's the same thing, but Pinterest allows you to actually include a link back to information, back to your sales page, back to your Amazon page, back to somewhere. Whereas in Instagram, you got one link unless you pay money. You don't have a link unless, except in your profile. And how many people are going to go back to somebody's profile? It's just not the mindset of people that are doing things on social network. They just want to click and click and click. And Pinterest allows them to click and click and click right to your website and right to your sales page. And, Pinterest has over 70 million monthly users in the U.S. alone, so that's a high traffic audience. And the neat thing is that Pinterest, 80% of the people on Pinterest are women, primarily between the ages around 25 to 50. And if you were to talk about the demographics of book buyers, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's what makes it magical. Pinterest is really a book buying audience.
And a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, I always knew, John, from the get-go, that if you had a very visual book, Pinterest had to be your play yard. And especially cookbook authors, Pinterest had to be your playground from the get-go. But this is for, the regular reading books. This is for fiction as well as a nonfiction visual, correct?
Right. It's for any kind of book. There are a lot of avid readers on Pinterest, and they share things. But, the thing is, you don't, if all you do is share your book cover and say, buy it at Amazon,
Boring.
You're not going to get very many sales. Yeah, it's just boring. And so, I talk about creating a typographic or bookographic, if you want to apply it to a book. And that's what works for me. And that means that you share something from the book. Whether, if it's fiction, you might share, some little hints on how to live in Victorian England if you have a Victorian romance. I think they call those Regency romances. And then you could share something like that, and people go, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I bet the novel is good too," because if the novelist has done that kind of background research, then the book has to be good, because we know that novelists, if a novel is going to be good, it has to feel alive. It has to feel in place. And the same is true for science fiction, fantasy, mysteries. You can share detective tips for mystery, or you could share romantic destinations for a particular city if your novel is set in that city. So there's a lot of ways that you can share things that people on Pinterest would actually share. They don't share book covers that often, but they do share interesting stuff.
So give me some examples of stuff. I mean, everyone loves stuff. I love stuff. But what would be a shareable thing that we're going to bypass the book cover, although it seems to make sense to have the image with it, or some kind of image will relate to what you share to, or do you suggest altering all these images?
Well, one of the things that I've created for some authors when we were doing some of our Pinterest webinars is I would share some of the testimonials from Amazon in a long, thin graphic, because that works really well in Pinterest. Mm-hmm. And then I would have their book cover on there, and I would actually put the link to the Amazon buy page as well, the short Amazon link that Amazon gives you. I put it on the graphic, and then when I post the image, I also share that link in so that people, if they want to click on the image, they can go right to Amazon to buy the book.
All right.
So that's one example. Another example would be to just tell a little short story from, like a little funny incident from the book, like 2 to 3 paragraphs. Again, in a long, thin graphic, you could have the book cover again, and again, the link to the Amazon page. But people will fall in love with your book if you share a few excerpts from the book in a really neat way, in a graphical way like that.
So, you know what, John, that's a little bit alike. It's a different version because you can add more juice to it, so to speak. That it creates like what we do with Bubblish in the book Bubbles, where we can copy that or that. But now this is a variation over on Pinterest, which I love this idea.
And it gets people involved, because people don't click through unless they find something interesting in the image. And so, if you have your book cover there, but you also have a little funny excerpt or a sexy excerpt or a fantasy excerpt or something like that, you can also, of course, as I said, share testimonials. You could also share tips, related to your novel, or certainly with nonfiction books, you can share all kinds of tips because ideally a nonfiction book is full of tips.
It better be. But
yeah, I love it.
It better be. But we're going to come up to our first break. But I just really, my head is reeling here thinking, because I have a new book coming out in another month, the How to Create a $1 Million Speech, and it is loaded with different images throughout the book. Loaded with different images, and they're
and each one
easy peasy to just pull those and make a tip page or something out of it, and then push them out on Pinterest in a new board.
Yes, absolutely. And again, one of the things I say in Pinterest is, don't create, your book board just about your book. Create specific interests boards about your book. So, like if I wrote a romance novel, I might have some.
John,
well,
hold.
we're going to add.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at Author U and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All righty. So John was just starting to jump in, and then that old commercial thing came on. So John, let's go back. Hey, everyone, it's all through you, your guide to book publishing. This is Judith Briles, and with me for the hour is, as I call him, we're doing today the Gospel according to John, and we're talking about Pinterest. And what you can do in building the boards and what they should be looking like. So, John, you were saying don't just put it on a board about your book. Is that correct?
Right. You don't, having a board with your book title name on it, how many people are going to search for that on Pinterest? But they will share, they will be searching for, let's say, business tips or business management tips or romantic destinations or, romantic dinner tips or things like that. So you can create boards built around what you've written, your book, but things that people will actually search for. And you'll get many more people following you than if you create a book board and an author board. And that's all you do.
All right. So create we're back to keywords kind of, right?
Yes, you want keyword boards, and the neat thing is, if I created, let's say your book on speaking, I would probably have 4 or 5 different boards about speaking, how to get booked as a speaker board, speaking tips board, the life of a speaker board, great speakers in history board, things like that.
All right.
Or highest paid speakers board, things like that people would actually be looking for.
Mm-hmm. So again, I think what's really important in book marketing is all of you need to put yourself into the mind and fingertips of a searcher, a consumer, not yours. What words, what phrases, what questions would they be using when they're trying to find answers to anything? Would that be right to say, John?
Right, because Pinterest is a key search engine. 2 million searches are done on Pinterest every month. And people are using Pinterest because it's user curated rather than some, obscure algorithm machine algorithm that's trying to figure out what you want to find. Here you're having users saying, I've already found it. Here it is.
Exactly. So I like that idea. And of course, with the latest and greatest that's going along with what in the hell is Amazon doing now to all of us, it's just unbelievable. So
yeah, and this whole tip about boards and keywords boards really sort of applies to Facebook as well. I see authors creating Facebook pages around their book. And again, that's not it. What you want to do is a Facebook page around the topic, the key word. I do have a Facebook page for 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books, but I get very little traffic there, and I really don't do much with it. But I have another one called Book Marketing Tips or Book Marketing Success, I think it is. Now that, if somebody's thinking about book marketing, they're going to put in the words book marketing. They'll find my fan page. But, actually, here's a secret I'm going to tell you right now. Because of the new algorithm change in Facebook, fan pages are almost dead.
I know.
But groups are hot because groups get shared, is still in the algorithm. It's sort of like family and friends. If you belong to a group and you're active in it, you will see that group all the time and all the posts that go to it. So I created a Book Marketing Success Stories group. And the neat thing about a group on Facebook is that you can invite people. I mean, you can actually add them to the group, and they can reject it or they can accept it. With a page, you still have to, you have to invite them, and then you have to wait for them to say yes, and how many people are going to say yes. But groups are powerful because of the algorithm change in Facebook. And I really encourage people to create a group around their topic.
So the hot tip is create a group around your topic. Number one. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I have book publishing tips with me.
Yeah, I know.
My group, yeah. So
I'm part of that group.
I'm glad, and you should add to it. You should put your little tips. But what's really important is that you go in and you can drop things in and do that. And I actually see, John, I'm always notified when you drop something new in. On yours.
Yes, and that way, and that's a neat thing about groups too, is that, the group leader will notice you, and that's a way to create a relationship with that group leader. If they're a top influencer in your industry and you join their group, they're going to notice you. And that's one way to start to create a relationship. And then obviously, that doing your podcast, that one of the key ways to create a relationship is to interview people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's right. You'll call me back. I like that.
So, we got sort of off the topic of Pinterest, but I thought it was important to talk about Facebook groups because of how they sort of mesh in with Facebook boards. With Pinterest boards. Mm-hmm. And the neat thing about Pinterest boards is that when you create a keyword-rich Pinterest board, the URL for it is also keyword-rich. So it's pinterest.com/John Kramer/book marketing success, if that's my board. So you've got a keyword-rich URL that's pointing forever back to your website. So the Google actually pays attention to Pinterest. I see a lot of my Pinterest pins get highly rated for keyword topics. So again, that's another reason to make sure that your description for your Pinterest pin is keyword rich, because that way the search engines find it. And that's magic.
Yeah, because so when you pin something, it also comes up with your SEO that you pop in the keywords right at that time. Is that correct?
You can type in a description. Now, I wouldn't just do keywords. I would actually make it a real description, but I would use the keywords that were appropriate for that particular pin. And then I would, you can also use hashtags, which is a nice way to also add keywords. And in Pinterest, hashtags are actually, valuable. Facebook, people say, well, if I see a hashtag in a Facebook post, I know it's a repost of a tweet. Oh, yuck. Mm-hmm. I've had people say that more than once, so I tend to avoid hashtags in Facebook for that reason. But Pinterest loves hashtags, and people love hashtags on Pinterest because it helps them to find the things they are interested in. And if they find something interesting, the neat thing they do on Pinterest is the person pins it to one of their keyword-rich boards. And people are following their board, they're going to find your pin, and they're going to find you. So Pinterest is full of opportunities for, keywords driving traffic. Even though it's images, that's the primary purpose of Pinterest is images. But in the description, in your board name and things like that, you can, and even in your profile, you can put in a keyword-rich word. So I'm John Kramer /book marketing expert, I think, on Pinterest.
So I think maybe this is a good time for everyone. I mean, you may have a Pinterest board or an account, that maybe y'all should go back and take a look at what your descriptors are. I mean, it's like the old days, when we all jumped on doing different things. that we weren't savvy enough to realize keywords are critical, etc. You need to go back and revisit. It's what I'm hearing really clearly from you, John, that we need to go back and do a revisit.
Yeah, and the neat thing is, if you change your board name, the URL also changes. So your keyword-rich board name also gets changed with the keyword-rich URL as well. So you can go back and change a board name at any time you want. You can go back and change your profile name anytime you want. So there's lots of opportunities there to really help people to find you and, interact with you and, of course, click through to your website.
Well, I think that's a great idea. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to set up a time with my VA, and we're going to go visit all our boards together.
Yay!
We're going to go merrily down the road. Yeah.
The neat thing about Pinterest is that 80% of the pins on Pinterest are repins of other people's content. You don't find that in any other social network, that kind of active sharing. 80% are repins. Try to say that about Facebook posts. Nah, doesn't happen. Talk about tweets. It doesn't happen that way. It's nowhere near 80% of retweets, nowhere near 80% of shares of Facebook, nowhere near Instagram shares and so on. But Pinterest, 80% of the activity is resharing. It's really the social network in terms of really being social and sharing things.
Well, you're exactly right. I didn't realize it was that high. 80%. So just chew on that a little bit, listeners, that 80% of anything that goes, or whatever you put up, maybe I need to redo that. Any pin out there is more inclined to come from a repin. Is that correct?
Yes, 80% of pins are repins.
Okay.
And that's really neat because that means that people are open to and wanting to share your content. And, they put it in, again, when they repin it to their keyword-rich board.
Right,
so again, you're getting that keyword-rich traffic.
All right, so with that, we're going to take another break, and then we're going to come in and talk about strategies for you.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingram Spark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with Print on Demand and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingram Spark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingram Spark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's ingramspark.com.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
We're talking Pinterest, and we're talking it is hashtag heaven. So what John Kramer has told us is Pinterest loves hashtags, and so you use them. And here's the other huge aha, if you're just joining us now, or just to reinforce it, is that 80% of all pins are shares. People have already posted, and they're resharing it and resharing it. It's, you know, it's like you've got a duplication process going on. So
it's one of the reasons that pins last so long on Facebook. On Pinterest, I have pins that are still sending me traffic 5 years after I originally pinned them because people are still repinning them. And that's really a magic thing. And, you know, there's one statistic I'd like to share with you. You know, somebody did a study once of what they call the half-life of a tweet. And a half-life means that how long, you know, half the people that will ever see the tweet see it in the first 24 minutes. If the half-life of a Facebook post is 90 minutes, that means half the people that will ever see that Facebook post and have a chance to interact with it see it in the first 90 minutes. But the half-life of a Pinterest pin is 3.5 months. That means that you have 2,000 times more time to interact with people and have a chance for people to discover your pin than for them to discover a Facebook post that you've done. And 6,000 times more opportunity to interact with people, have a chance for them to discover your pin than a tweet. That's powerful.
So let's just reiterate those stats again, John. So
the half-life of a tweet is 24 minutes.
Yeah.
The half-life of a Facebook post is 90 minutes. The half-life of a Pinterest pin is 3.5 months.
And so how many?
Know, that's 2,000 times more than the Facebook post.
And so with saying that, really saying that, you're wondering why bother with anything else. But with that said, I mean, literally, if that's
well, to some extent, that's true. I mean, obviously, you know, I know a lot of people having, good results with Facebook ads, and I like Facebook ads because you can really drill down and target your audience. But Pinterest, Pinterest also allows you to advertise if you want to. I did it once. I recently discovered that I had done an ad on Pinterest once. I had thought I hadn't. Because I get so much organic traffic from Pinterest that I don't feel the need to advertise, but I'm going to test it again because, I'm doing this real fast social graphics course, and so I need to, look into all the different things you can do with Pinterest. So I'm going to do some ads again just to test it out, and so that I can teach it and say, yes, it does work in this regard, or it doesn't work in this case, but, to show people, what can happen. I would probably never advertise on Twitter, but Facebook I would advertise, and I have. And I would probably advertise on Pinterest, if I have some extra money laying around somewhere. I don't like to spend money. You know that about me. I think you do. Anyway, so I like getting organic traffic, and that's what really has worked for me in Google search engines, my search engine optimization. I like it with Pinterest because I know how to use Pinterest. The other thing that Pinterest likes besides typographics, the people that repin are quote graphics, and that's just, excerpting a quote from your book, and making it pretty looking, and then sharing that, and you'll get a lot of traffic that way. And again, you can link to a blog post, email capture page, a book sales page, wherever you want to send the traffic.
Which is exactly what you should be doing on that. So you can just take all kinds of things there.
Yeah, and, it's not that, other things don't work. I mean, my partner in Real Fast Social Graphics, Daniel Hall, he loves cars. He really loves Corvettes. So he repins Corvettes, even if it's just a picture of a Corvette. But if I were going to sell the Corvette, I would do something a little bit different in order to pin that Corvette and sell it. I would probably show it in action. I'd have 4 or 5 pictures in a long, thin graphic showcasing it, driving in beautiful locations, or, looking under the hood, or doing something a little bit different than all the people that are just showing the picture of a car.
And why not? I used to have a Corvette.
All right. If you still have it, Daniel will buy it.
Well, I used to have a Corvette, and when I had to get rid of it finally was when I had the third baby. This is back in the old days when you didn't have car seats or anything, you see, and we just put the kids on the floor.
Well, when I was a kid, my mom held me in her lap.
Yeah, we did that too. And yeah, they help drive. That's how the kids, that's why I think those little toys that came out with the little wheels. All right, we digress. All right, so with that said, that whichever way you go with things, but the whole reality is that Pinterest is the way to go. That's what I'm really hearing, John. It's really the top player here.
Yeah, it really does. It really does make a difference. There was actually a study done once by an e-commerce company, and they said that the average checkout value of social shoppers is $140 for Pinterest, $80 for Facebook, and $60 for Twitter. That means if traffic was sent to an e-commerce site, Pinterest people spend more money.
Well, that sounds good.
And I think that,
yeah,
I mean, you like that. And Pinterest users are also early adopters. And that's one of the really neat things also. And if you want to find out what's trending, what's really hot, look at Pinterest and what the pins are, and you'll start to see what's going on. For example, the hot thing now with smoothies are smoothie bowls. And, they work so well on Pinterest because, one of the reasons I think smoothie bowls are so hot is that they're much prettier in a product shot than a smoothie, a glass with smoothie in it, That's so ugly, but you can make a smoothie bowl look incredibly beautiful. And so smoothie bowls are really hot nowadays. You see them in magazine articles all the time. And the early adopters, Pinterest, noticed that much earlier than any magazine did.
Well, is it because you think that it is just because of the social interaction, the higher level of people? How many, you said 2 million, if I recall correctly, right? 2 million searches a month? And so
2 million searches a month and 2 million product pins a day. That means, actual product pins, not all the other pins, but the actual product pins where they're pinning something they like a beautiful dress or, a new blender that they thought, wow, that looks really good. And again, if I was selling a blender, I love that guy. You remember those YouTube videos of Will It Blend? Where the guy would blend a new iPhone 7 and put it in the blender and see what happened. And he would tear the iPhone apart. So it showed it was a great blender. And you can do the same thing on Pinterest. Show the product in use, and you'll have a much more likely, value in terms of selling it. And that's why, those typographics with books and sharing a short story or sharing, some quotes from your books will really make a lot of difference in sending traffic to your book. A book cover, blah. It's sort of like, on Amazon, on YouTube, where people will do I've seen a lot of different, book videos where they showcase the book, but they're so boring.
They are.
And then
boring.
I've seen some where they actually take you into the story of the book, and they're asking you about it, and it's, they're telling you a little bit about the story within the video, and you're going, whoa, I want to know what happens next. And of course, they don't tell you in the video, so you have to buy the book.
Exactly. Well, that's
and in Pinterest, you can do the same thing.
Tell me more. Do you remember? We're going to take our final break here, but do you remember when I can't remember what the Harry Potter publishing company, what Rowling called their publishing company, but when they first came out, they showed graphics of it opening up with all the paper of all the things, and you wanted to dive right in. Wow, it was so awesome what you could see. And I don't know what happened with Potterville, but it was pretty amazing. So let's get into.
The neat thing is,
wait a minute,
can I say one more thing?
No,
on Pinterest, you can.
Don, stop.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All righty. So in our last segment with the rascal, sometimes I think John Kramer's a rascal. We are going to really we'll do some reiteration, but we're going to go through just some, like a reel. Since he was talking about videos, I go to Thinking Reels, and John said that, do you want to post an hour video? Most likely not. I think I have been saying this for a couple of years. Short is the new black. And I think short comes from whether it's a posting, it's a blog, whether it's a video. I know that Twitter has expanded the capability of adding on more characters and for your word countage, character countage. And I find it interesting, John, I don't know if you've noticed that on Twitter, that a lot of people are staying in the shorter format. There's not a really expansive on that.
Yeah, I stay in the shorter because I like it. One of the things I really loved about Twitter was that I didn't have to write a lot.
Yeah.
I could write short, and I like that. And actually, I think the longer will not work well on Twitter because of the way that Twitter displays tweets and so on. If you can't scan it quickly, you're not going to read it.
Exactly.
And so, that's what I loved about Twitter. It was easy to scan. You could just go through it and boom, 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 boom. And the same is true of Pinterest, except that it's graphical. And you can, again, go boom, 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 and you can look through it and you can scan through it really quickly. And if something catches your eye, then boom, you go towards it. And so, some of the things, you wanted me to create a Pinterest sizzle reel and talk about some of the key tips that I have for Pinterest. And one of the things I'm really strong on creating typographics, long, thin graphics with words on them that say something, that provide 3 to 5 to 10 tips, something like that. And then the pin quote graphics. And these quote graphic, I say, is a short quote over a graphical image that looks pretty. Because, again, the prettier it is, the more likely it's going to attract people's attention on Pinterest. Also, you can pin short videos. Don't do long videos on Pinterest. I would do under a minute on Pinterest because, again, of the way that people think and so on. So that's 3. Number 4 is to create keyword-rich boards. So don't do your book, do your topic. pinned to your topic and the things that you want people to find you for, and respect you for, and the things that people you think would look for on Pinterest because of the topic of your book, because you want them to discover your book, but they discover it through the topic. Also, you want to create keyword-rich group boards. A group board, we haven't talked about this yet, but a group board is a board where you invite other people to collaborate with you. So you can invite, say, if you write romance novels, you can invite 5 or 10 other romance novelists to create a romantic destinations board or a romantic dinner ideas board, something like that, so that you'd be promoting romance at the same time you'd be helping each other out. And, you should never feel like these people are competing with you, because if somebody really loves that particular topic, they're going to buy every book. They're not going to, pussyfoot around. They're going to be really interested. And especially with romance, romance novelists readers are readers. They probably read, a book, 2 or 3 books a week. So the sixth tip is to join keyword-rich group boards. So not only create some group boards of your own, but join other people's group boards. And there, again, you can search for group boards on Pinterest and find ones that you think would be right for you and ask if you can join them. Many of them tell you exactly how to join a group board, and if they like what you do, they will invite you. So, that's a really neat thing. And on Pinterest, as in every other social media, make sure you fill out your profile before you start getting people to like you, and things like that. I'm still amazed at how many people come to me on Twitter and say, I want you to follow me. And I'm going, but you don't even have a picture up. I don't even know what you look like. You don't have a description. You don't have a link to the website. And then on Pinterest, you have that same opportunity, a picture, a description of what you are, and a link to your main website that's clickable. So, fill out your Pinterest profile so that I can like you, instead of a blank page, something like that. I see that on Facebook too. It's amazing how many people, or LinkedIn, they don't spend the time to complete their profiles. And I'm not following you if I can't tell anything about you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are 7, I think, key tips on Pinterest. There are certainly more, like with all social networks. A certain amount of what you do, you should be sharing other people, commenting on other people, liking other people. There's a sad trend has been going on Twitter where people unfollow everybody because they think that if I have a lot of followers and I'm not following anyone, then I'm famous. Well, that's hogwash. The minute you unfollow me, I unfollow you.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know that.
I have found it. I've seen so many people, that unfollow me, and then I'll go look at their profile, 0 following. They're not following anybody, and I'm going, this is really bad advice who's ever giving it to them, because I'm an automatic unfollow if you unfollow me, because I think of social networks as social, and that means that you interact.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't know that was a strategy that people were using on that. But I do. If someone I think we have it in place. If you unfollow, we unfollow back.
Yeah.
Don't clutter my stuff up.
Right. Because even with Twitter, which doesn't really have that much social interaction. You can retweet, you can like, and stuff like that, but it's not nearly as interactive. Like, you can't really comment easily like you can on Facebook or on Pinterest. But I still think of Twitter as a social network. I'm looking to interact with people, not to have them, broadcast to me their junk.
Well, for Twitter, since we're talking social media in general, I have different feeds for things, but for my own personal, I follow less people there than at my main feed, My Book Shepherd, because I am looking for items that I actually can see very quickly and reshare out with other people. I mean, that's so I can narrow it down quickly. I know you can do it with your own groups, but it's how I set it up before they had groups on Twitter, and I've always kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
So.
And so, you're always, with Pinterest, it's really good to, to live up. You don't have to live up to the 80% repins if you don't want to. It's standard that other people do. But you should be repinning some other people. You should be sharing what they're doing, because that helps them to discover you as well.
Mm-hmm. I go to Pinterest when I go to Pinterest when I'm looking for certain recipes. On certain holidays, it's the first place I go. First place.
And obviously, on Pinterest you can actually find recipes. On Facebook it's tough to do. It's really tough on Twitter because in tweets you can't really do a very good recipe. But Pinterest is really good. People share recipe pins where they do the whole recipe as a pin, in steps, and it's wonderful. And that's just a variation of the typographic, and it's really powerful.
So it is, when you're talking about your typographic, I want to go back to that. So okay. Are you using, you're just setting it up yourself? You're creating a board and just writing it tip on it, your items, or are you using a certain software, like whether it's a type of a Canva type thing that you're setting? Well, I do Canva anyway, but is there, like the old, when we had the infographics, there was software?
Infographics do not work on Pinterest because 80 to 90% of the people accessing Pinterest at any one time are on smartphones. And you can't read infographics on smartphones, but you can, a good, well-designed typographic is easy to read on a smartphone. And that's what I create. I create typographics that are easy to read and interact with right away, even on a smartphone. You have to realize that almost all the social networks now are 80 to 90% mobile. So you really have to think about that when you're creating content for those social networks. Because, again, can somebody access it quickly on a smartphone?
Well, I guess maybe one of the things that we wrap up, we have about 2 minutes here, is everyone should be probably going to HubSpot and check out their website. I'm going to tell you this. Check out your website. Is it mobile friendly?
Yes, absolutely.
I
have one of my old legacy websites that's not mobile friendly yet.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each